All right, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, citizens of YouTube. This is Pastor Dowell. I am here today, this morning, because I want to try to do what I can to impart some wisdom inside you, to deposit some wisdom in you and your family, man, woman. When Sister Carol and I were raising Chuck and Lydia, we've always demanded a lot out of them academically. And the reason why we did that is because we ended up demanding, we didn't have that, those same demands placed on us when we were younger. It was, when our parents raised us, it was like, okay, you go ahead, you get your own education, but you're almost pretty much left to yourself. So when I got a little bit older, I started putting a lot of emphasis. When I had my own children, I put some emphasis on, a lot of emphasis on education. Chuck had graduated school, high school, I think, at 16 years old. He didn't want to go to college, and he was very studious. As a matter of fact, I had Sister Carol get with some sisters and get some college curriculum courses, and I was giving them that in high school because they were sponges. And I demanded that they would be studious and learn, because there is something truthful about education as long as it's the proper education. Well, anyway, Lydia comes along and she does very well in school. As a matter of fact, because, she couldn't take the test with a lot of people. Let me try to adjust this a little bit, try to get a little bit more light here. She couldn't take the test with a lot of public school students because she was homeschooled. All our children are homeschooled. All right. And in this homeschooling, they have a whole lot more attention than a regular teacher can give them. When they get to a certain curriculum, we started off with ABACA, and I think that they ended up with something like ACE or ACS or something like that. But anyway, once they get to their teenage years, there is already enough time that has been spent with them. I can remember Carol being an educator of them when they were very, very young. In other words, she just didn't leave the children run around for idleness of time. They had like maybe an hour a day that they would probably get for fun time. The rest of it, it was education. It was helping around the house. It was teaching them. It was Carol spending time with them and showing them how to go about doing things. They both walked at an early age. They both spoke at a very early age. They communicated well at a very early age. Well, anyway, later on, my daughter Erica comes in the picture, and she is married to Elder Mitch, and she has children. And the first child she had was Abigail. And right off the bat, you could see that her mother just done an excellent job. Excellent job with her, because it's reflected in what she is doing, Erica's doing with her children. So Abigail is here, okay? And Abigail, I'm going to show you the first video I'm going to show you about Abigail. She had just turned 2 years old. You see, what I'm getting to is this. It's one thing to have children. The world is doing that. But it's another thing to be able to put time, energy, and effort and pour into those children, and not just stick them in front of some TV screen and let the TV screen be a babysitter to it because it has some bright objects on it. You have to actually physically get your hands on with them. And you're going to evidently see this, because you're going to see my granddaughter here, Abigail, and she is going to, matter of fact, I'll just let you see it for yourself, and we'll be right back. But before we do that, I want to read you something from the scriptures from Ecclesiastes, right? In verse 16, it says, Ecclesiastes chapter 16, verse 1, it says, "Desire not a multitude of unprofitable children, neither delight in ungodly sons. Though they multiply, rejoice not in them, except the fear of the Lord be with them, and trust not thou in their life, neither respect their multitude. For one that is just is better than 1,000. And better it is to die without children than to have them that are godly. So it's one thing to have a bunch of children, but if they're being reared and raised and neglected and becoming ungodly and developing ungodly traits, because we're having children, but we're not pouring nothing into them, those are called unprofitable children. I'm going to let you decide and discern, and let's just go to the house of Mitch right here, and let's see if this little girl at this particular time who had just turned 2, let's see if she is unprofitable or not, or let's see if she is actually learning of the right way. Be right back.
The 5 books of the Torah.
Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy. The 5 books of the Torah. Bereshit, Samuel, Vayikra, Bamidbar, Davidi. The 5 books of the Torah.
Hallelujah. Say shalom to the straightway heirs.
No straight heirs.
Say bless you.
Bless the straightway heirs.
Look at the camera. Shalom.
Shalom.
I have another video somewhere. I'm going to get that. I'm going to obtain that before she was 2 years old, she was quoting the 10 Commandments. And I'll get that one to you too. What I'm getting to is this. We as Israel, we have got to put more time, more energy, and more effort into our children. Mothers, you are the first line teachers. And what you do is going to reflect, your children are a reflection of you. I know that they all develop at different stages, but I do know this. I know children are sponges. And it's very easy for them to pick up on languages. It's very easy for them to learn because right now they have nothing in their hard drive, their brain. And so what you program and what you put in there is going to be a lasting impression up on them and it's going to stick with them. But you, as a father, and especially you as a mother, you must spend time with them. Again, she's quoting the 5 books of Moses. I'm going to get that other video to where you can see that she quoted the whole entire 10 Commandments before 2. All right, now the next video we're going to show you is going to show you with her, she's 2.5, and she is in the kitchen cracking eggs, helping her mother cook. Check this out.
Careful, honey. I appreciate your help, Abigail. Thank you. Thank you, honey. What's up, honey? Thank you, honey. I appreciate you, Abigail. Whisk it. Good job. You're finished? Okay. Thank you, honey. I appreciate you.
The reason why I'm making these videos right now and trying to show an example here is because I just recently left a meeting in Troy, Michigan, to where 93 people showed up to the meeting up there. And it was a joy to meet each and every last one of you. And my brother also wanted to say, thank you for this beautiful, wonderful gift of this knife right here. I've already done tested it out. I've already done cut myself on it. It's a nice carbon fiber blade top right here. Just a beautiful knife. Look at this. It has a carbon fiber body. But anyway, the one reason why I'm making this video right here is because I had a mother come up to me and she was speaking to me about children because Sister Carol had a big line of women speaking to her, and she basically said, Pastor Dowell, my son is 3 years old, and my next son is 1 year old. She said, my husband and I, we know what the Bible says about children and they're blessed and stuff. He said, but How are we doing right by having our children at these distances? And I said, first of all, you're doing right when you're having children. But my advice is that you're doing wonderful, because what you're doing is you're allowing time for yourself to spend and pour in to the older one. There's about 2 years gaps right there before you have the next one. And you can do like a lot of people and have a whole bunch of children, but they won't be as advanced as Abigail, as this example, because all children, if they haven't been vaccinated, have the potential of doing this. But it's all predicated and based on the time, the energy, and the effort that the mother puts in her. Abigail not only speaks English, but she's also speaking Spanish as well at 2.5 years old, being able to communicate. And again, when it says over here in Ecclesiastes, to desire not a multitude of unprofitable children, what it's saying, don't do like the world do. Just go out here popping out babies all over the place and stuff, and then you leave them to themselves. And as a mother, you got 8 or 9 of them sitting up here in the house, and they're all step ladder one after another, and you have not been able to spend any time educating them, any energy, any effort. You really truly don't know them. And that's what it's saying. Let me read it one more time to finish it up right here. Desire not a multitude of unprofitable children, neither delight in ungodly sons. And that's the problem we're having in Israel. That's why a lot of our children end up ungodly. And what I mean by ungodly, in jail, out of jail, killing, murdering, stealing, all this other stuff. Because remember, the Bible says, train them up when they're young, because when they get old, they won't depart from the faith. There's something about being able to pour into them, whether they stay in the faith or out of the faith. The one thing they will have is a moral compass that will keep them from a lot of evil in the world. Now, the whole idea is you pour into them, you train them up. When they get young, when they get old, they won't depart. That's what the book says. That's the promise. All right, but look what it says. Verse 2, though they multiply, rejoice not in them, except the fear of the Lord be with them, and trust not thou in their life, neither respect their multitude, or have a lot of respect for a bunch of them, if you understand what I mean. For one that is just is better than 1,000. So you can look at, in the world out here, if a woman has a whole bunch of children, they look at it, oh man, that's just a beautiful thing. But if there's one person or one woman over here that only has one, and she pours time, energy, effort, education, biblical knowledge into them, and teach them the rights of holiness and sanctification and living set apart, and you are at 2 years old, your child is at 2 years old, and you can literally physically carry on a conversation with them. You can see what's going on in their mind because they can communicate to you. You can actually take them from one place to another, and they can communicate with the general public at that age. It's just a beautiful thing. So one is better than 1,000, and better it is to die without children than to have them that are ungodly. There's the time frame in the book that's coming up that says, woe unto you that give suck in those days. We're talking about a day of destruction and a day of calamity and a day of just total misery. Can you imagine trying to manage a bunch of children in an economic collapse? Can you imagine trying to keep a baby quiet when the world is without rule of law and it's done gone stark raving mad? You see, you need to be very calculated in what you're doing. Just don't be a loose goose and start popping out children left and right and all over the place. If you're going to have them, make sure that they are bring some type of profit or some type of value. So I hope I helped you up there, sister, and anybody else that's listening to this. You got the truth, and that's the truth straight way. Again, like I said, my daughter, she went to a Division 1A school on an academic scholarship at 16 years old. She was accepted into college. Probably could have went earlier. But I just want to say that some of us are literally being examples in almost everything we do in life, just so that you can get a comprehension and understanding, because I know that a lot of your parents just didn't pour a lot of this stuff in you. But here I am, Papa Pastor Dowell. Shalom.